Instead of reading off all of these formulas to make these colors, and I know that the color names aren't going to be perfect, but instead of doing that, I've decided to read another story from the SCP Foundation, Secure, Contain, and Protect. This is item number SCP-505. The object class is Keter. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-505 is contained in a 50 meter by 40 meter by 10 meter room at site redacted. SCP-505's containment area is to be sealed other than one secure airlock and a series of pipes allowing transport of SCP-505 to storage tanks in the event of SCP-505 TAC-1 now reaching levels in which it possesses a danger to containment. Sprayers of 4-MNaOH are to be available throughout SCP-505's containment area and the rest of Site Redacted to combat containment breach. In the event of a spill SCP-505 TAC-1, the affected area should immediately be covered with an absorbent material. Commercial blotting paper is currently standard for this purpose, and doused with alcohol or acetone if NaOH are not immediately available. NaOH immersion is the method of choice for SCP-505 TAC-1 containment, followed by incineration of affected material if practical. There are currently redacted instances of SCP-505 TAC-1 points of secondary containment outside SCP-505's primary containment area. Containment in these areas is variable, but efforts have been made to make procedures as similar to those of the primary site if possible. Of these secondary contamination zones, redacted are unable to be fully contained at the time, resulting in the spread of SCP-505 TAC-1 throughout the environment. These sites are to be monitored at all times, and countermeasures developed is of the highest priority. Tough words. The complete list of SCP-505 TAC-1 secondary containment sites. See document 505 TAC-14A TAC redacted. Description. SCP-505 is a model redacted Faber-Castell fountain pen, produced in 2001. For documentation of its acquisition by the Foundation, see Addendum 505 TAC-2. It is identical in all respects to standard fountain pen apart from its association with SCP-505 TAC-1. SCP-505 TAC-1 is a black ink produced by SCP-505, which exhibits the properties of self-replication. SCP-505 TAC-1 spreads at variable rate. Affected by the substance it comes into contact with, the amount of SCP-505 TAC-1 present. That's a weird sentence. Quantities of SCP-505 TAC-1 have been shown to increase at rates of 0.5 and 540 milliliters per second. Holy moly! Standard ink removing chemicals are able to partially remove SCP-505 TAC-1 and inhibits its spread. However, sodium hydroxide is necessary to remove SCP-505 TAC-1 contamination completely and has shown to be ineffective in environments with particularly high SCP-505 TAC-1 concentrations. Fortunately, the growth rate of SCP-505 TAC-1 appears to be inversely proportional to the quantity at high concentrations. Whilst the observed effect of this are negligible in most cases, the inverse growth phenomenon provides the only explanation for the partial contamination of SCP-505 TAC-1, despite a number of cases of large environmental contamination which were projected to otherwise lead to an NK-class end-of-world scenario. Whilst SCP-505 TAC-1 exhibits no unusual properties other than its constant spread and partial resistance to removal, it nonetheless possesses serious difficulties for control. SCP-505-TAC1 will flow across non-absorbent surfaces and pass through porous surfaces in an identical fashion to normal ink. All liquid or solid objects or being in contact with SCP-505-TAC1 will be contaminated. SCP-505-TAC1 will adhere to non-porous surfaces such as metals, but newly produced SCP-505-TAC1 will constantly flow off. Non-porous materials are thus catalysts for SCP-505-TAC1 spread, and all SCP-505-TAC1 contamination should be covered in porous materials such as blotting paper for this reason. It is not possible to permanently contain SCP-505-TAC1 in non-porous containers, as said containers' contents will gradually increase in quantity, leading to increased pressure and subsequent rupture. All containment being used to contain SCP-505-TAC1 must therefore be drained periodically to prevent containment breach. SCP-505-TAC1's effect on its environment are identical to those of an equivalent quantity of standard fountain pen ink. SCP-505-TAC1 exposure will inevitably lead to the death of living organisms. Plant matter will be killed due to inhibition of photosynthesis, whereas animals will be killed due to chemical poisoning. In humans and other mammals, SCP-505-TAC1 contact will most likely be via the skin, where it spreads until it reaches an orifice or a break in the skin and subsequently enters the vascular system through mucous membranes. SCP-505-TAC1 will spread through the vascular and have catastrophic effects on all organ systems to be extracted by the urinary system. Cause of death is generally multiple organ failure, although in most cases affected individuals will be terminated and decontaminated prior to this. For containment procedures in this instance, see Addendum 505-TAC1. SCP-505-TAC1 also has an increased rate of spread through non-viscous fluids such as water, as would be expected of normal ink. Any contamination of the water table with SCP-505-TAC1 must be prevented at all costs due to the potential of an NK-class end-of-world scenario. It is unknown whether SCP-501's aforementioned property of an inversely proportional rate of spread will manifest in fluids, as experiments with such high quantities of SCP-505-TAC1 is strictly forbidden. Thus, any environmental SCP-505-TAC1 contamination in water sources must be met with immediate damming and drainage into storage tanks of all affected areas. Addendum 505-TAC1 Procedures for dealing with SCP-505-TAC1 containment in humans. Administration of multiple dose activated charcoal has been shown to slow the progress of SCP-505-TAC1. Contamination in humans must be unable to halt the process. That's a weird sentence. We're going to try that one again. Administration of multiple dose activated charcoal has been shown to slow the progress of SCP-505-TAC1 contamination in humans, but is unable to halt the process. The only known methods of treatment for SCP-505-TAC1 contamination in humans are by immediately excision of the affected area or continuous application of ethanol to an affected skin region. Typical ethanol treatment will not prevent the affected individual from transmitting SCP-505-TAC1 to other surfaces and is thus highly discouraged except in the case of essential personnel, in which case containment procedures must be observed as in all sites secondary SCP-505-TAC1 contamination. In theory, excision or amputation of affected areas would be the gold standard for treatment, but contamination of surgical instruments and personal remains a problem. Therefore, all cases of SCP-505 TAC-1 contamination in humans other than essential personnel should be dealt with by termination, followed by standard procedure of 4M NaOH, immersion in and incineration of the remains. Addendum 505 TAC 2, SCP-505 Retrieval History. SCP-505 was acquired by the Foundation from the town of Redacted in Oman, when the town in question was quarantined by the Omani government due to the reports of black fluid beginning to seep out from the town's post office, causing the deaths of a number of inhabitants. Fortuitously, the arid and remote location of the incident prevented a wide-scale environmental contamination of SCP-505 TAC-1. The Foundation retrieved SCP-505 TAC-1 with redacted casualties. No other anomalous properties of the town's post office or the town itself were detected. It was deemed necessary to terminate redacted civilians, inhabitants of redacted, who were deemed likely to be contaminated. The incident was reported as Wow, that was a weird word. The incident was reported as non-extranormal chemical spills.